Good evening. My name is Nadine Hatten, and I'm running for Oakland County Circuit Court Judge. Before I start, I want to take a moment to talk to anyone who may be suffering financially due to the COVID-19 or coronavirus. If you find that you are experiencing financial difficulty and you need help with housing, food, or bill payment assistance, call United Way at 211. Don't suffer in silence. During these uncertain times, it is so important that we reach out to each other, that we support each other. So if you know someone who needs help, encourage them to call United Way at 211. Films for Dems, thank you for creating this platform. And to the viewers, thank you for taking time from your schedule to watch. I am Nadine Hatten, and I was born and raised in Oakland County. I'm from a union family. I attended public schools, and I taught public schools. I taught public schools for 15 years. I taught Spanish and social studies, and I was also an elected union steward. While I was teaching, I continued my education. I went to school at night and earned a master's degree in education. A few years later, still while teaching, I went to law school. So I worked during the day, went to law school at night, part-time evening. It took me 5 years to earn my law degree, but I did it. After I earned my law degree, I stopped teaching. I went back to school one more time, and I earned my master's in law. After I got my master's in law, I decided to open my own law firm. I opened the law offices of Nadine R. Hatten. I've had my own law office for approximately 10 years. I'm a solo practitioner. As a solo practitioner, that means that I handle every case personally, and I talk to each of my clients individually. Now, in my practice, I have 3 primary areas that I work in. One is adult and juvenile criminal cases. Another one is guardianship and conservatorship for adults, kids, and the developmentally disabled. The third area is child neglect. Child neglect is an area where the parents are accused of either abusing or neglecting or not meeting a child's needs or being able to create a plan for a child. Now, all 3 of those areas are critical. They go together. And in my work as a teacher, I was recognized, I should say, as Teacher of the Year by Fox 2 News. And as a defense attorney, I was recognized by the Oakland County Circuit Court Judge, or the Oakland County Circuit Court bench, the very bench that I'm asking you to support and elect me to, specifically the Family Court bench, awarded me with the Sandra Silver Attorney of the Year Award. Now, the Sandra Silver Award is only offered or awarded one time a year. It's given to the attorney that the family bench agrees has gone above and beyond to service children. So the Sandra Silver Attorney Advocate Award is given to that attorney. Now, I have, again, worked as a teacher. I have been a defense attorney, a union steward, and had my own practice, earned my LLM. What else is there? Now I also work as a part-time magistrate. As a part-time magistrate, I maintain my practice, but I also assist the judge in the 43rd District Court. That would be Hazel Park. What does a magistrate do? Well, since I was in education, let's look at it like this. You know how there's a principal and a vice principal? Well, the judge would be the principal and the magistrate would be the vice principal. As the magistrate or the vice principal, I support the judge. How do I do that as a magistrate? As a magistrate, I handle some misdemeanor cases. And when I say handle, that means I accept pleas on those cases and I sentence on those cases. In addition to handling some misdemeanor cases, I also set bonds and conduct arraignments in misdemeanors and felony cases, which means I'm the first person that an individual sees other than their defense attorney when they appear in court. I also handle all of the traffic matters. Now, with my experience, again, as a teacher, as a magistrate, as a union steward, and as a defense attorney, why should you elect me or support me as Oakland County Circuit Court Judge? This is why. My professional life, my past experiences all show my commitment to public service. They all show they all present an opportunity that I've had to not only encourage, guide, educate, but help people when they're down at their lowest points, or sometimes when they're broken. And I've had an opportunity, I've been honored to have that opportunity at every career that I've had. And I want to continue to do that as an Oakland County Circuit Court Judge. Now, again, with that experience, as a teacher, I would bring all of the experience that I had as a teacher. So why is that important as an Oakland County Circuit Court Judge? Because I would be bringing experience to the bench outside of the legal profession. And as a magistrate, I'm bringing experience to the bench where I've already had an opportunity to interact with defendants and clients, to hear their story, to accept pleas, and to sentence them. Now, I want to take a moment to share with you a couple stories. One, when I was a teacher, and this goes back to my commitment, my drive, my passion to help and to be there as a public servant. So when I was a teacher, I had a student. I won't say her name, but she had an opportunity to attend Eastern Michigan. Well, she was accepted to Eastern, but there was one problem. She couldn't get from Detroit to Ypsilanti to take the placement test. So she came to me, she shared that information with me, and I looked at her and I asked her, what date do you need to be there? What time do you need to be there? And she told me the date and time. I told her, I'm taking you. You are going to go to Eastern Michigan and take your placement test. You're going to attend Eastern Michigan, and you're going to graduate from Eastern Michigan. Well, fast forward, she has now graduated from Eastern Michigan. She is now working as a social worker for the Department of Health and Human Services. In fact, I talked to her on Friday, and she's doing great. Another story that I would like to share with you is in my duties or role as a magistrate. As a magistrate, it's important to me that I see a person and not a case, not a number, and not a file. So what does that mean? Well, when I'm accepting a plea and preparing to sentence someone, they may have family or friends and supporting them in court. If they have family and friends, sometimes I will allow the family and friends to address the court. Why? Because sometimes, and I realize this from being a teacher, I realize this from being a defense attorney and a union steward. Sometimes the family or friends can provide additional information to the court that you can't get from paper, that you're not going to get from the client or the defendant. And that's important. Equally as important in recognizing or accepting, receiving statements from family and friends is to move the docket forward. So as a magistrate, I am also charged with the responsibility of moving my docket, making certain that my docket is moving. And I do that. But at the same time, I'm able to balance and look at each case and decide which case needs more time and which case doesn't require a lot of time. And in doing that, I'm able to, again, speak to the family and get more information than just that snapshot or more information that's provided on the paper. And all of that, again, is very important. Why? Because that is the type of judge that deserves to sit on the bench at the Oakland County Circuit Court. And those are the strengths and the characteristics and skills that I have and that I would bring to the bench. Now, as a teacher and a magistrate and a defense attorney, that is 25 years of public service. 25 years of making tough decisions. Again, 25 years of being there for people who need help and being able to work within the laws, the guidelines, and the restrictions to fashion sentences and gather information that's pertinent to the client. Now, don't misunderstand. While I am in support of doing things to create a sentence that will rehabilitate, that's appropriate for the sentence. Don't misunderstand. I will make the hard decisions. And getting ready to run for judge, I called some of my students, my former students, and talked to them. And I said, hey, when I was a teacher, how would you describe me? And so I could take that information as from being a teacher, a defense attorney, a magistrate, to the bench at Oakland County Circuit. Well, my students told me firm but fair. And I thought about that for a second. That does adequately and appropriately describe me. I am firm, but I am fair. What that means is I'm consistent. I am not going to interpret a law one way one day and a different way the next day. My courtroom will have order and structure. When you walk in that courtroom, you will know what time we're starting. You will know what is required of you. And in addition to knowing what's required of you, it's also important for me as a magistrate and as a teacher that people who are in front of me do not, and I repeat, do not walk away from me or from that bench, from that proceedings, not knowing what happens. So a lot of times I will address the defendant. How? I call the defendant by their names. How? I talk directly to the defendant. Why? Because that allows them to understand and that this is your life, this is your case, and it involves them, it brings them into the case where I'm not talking at them. I'm not talking, giving them orders and sentencing them to things that they don't understand why. That's very important, and I think that's the educator in me, that even as a defense attorney, I explain to my clients, it's important that you understand what happened. I'm not interested in getting to your answer, whether you're setting it for trial, whether you're going to plead, or whether you want to consider some other alternatives. What's important is that they understand. And I take the time to tell them, if you don't understand, let me know. If you don't understand, we will not move forward. And that is the same position that I take as a magistrate. If you're in my courtroom and you stand before me and I get an inkling that you don't understand, I stop the proceedings right there. Because I'm not going to proceed if I have a client in front of me who's not certain, who has a question, and they're not really sure what's going to happen. I stop. I will pass their case and allow them an opportunity to speak to their attorney once again. So what makes me the best candidate? I've already explained to you. I'm uniquely qualified. I bring skills and information outside of the legal profession. I have experience as a defense attorney. I have experience as a magistrate. I have experience as a union steward. And again, all of those are positions where I have been able to be a public servant. I have been able to help people when they need to. And that is what I plan to do as the next Oakland County Circuit Court judge, to interpret the laws, to protect the people's rights who come in front of me, to make certain that everyone is treated equally in court, that everyone is seen as a person. And I know I've said this before, but it's important that I impress upon you. You support, you elect me, you are getting a judge who is experienced. You are getting a judge who is passionate. You are getting a judge who has a heart for the people and who will serve the people, who will, and I will do what is necessary to make certain that Oakland County stays safe and it is a desirable county to live in. Now, before we move to questions, I want to make certain that if you are interested in supporting my campaign and following my campaign, please go to NadineHatten.com. You can obtain additional information about me. You can have an opportunity to join my campaign and support my campaign. If you have social media, add me to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Facebook is Nadine Hatten for Circuit Judge. Instagram and Twitter, Hatten for Judge. Again, I am uniquely qualified to be the next Oakland County Circuit Court Judge because I have the skills, I have the experience, and I have the knowledge. I am already doing part of that job as a magistrate, and it's important that you consider that you could be before me, your family member could be before me, a relative or a friend, and you want someone who sees a person and not a number and not a case, someone who's compassionate and someone who is firm but fair. Now, I think we have some questions. I think we have time for 2 or 3 questions, or let's see. Are there any questions?
First question, do you know about the Veteran Court?
There's a question, do I know about the Veterans Court? Yeah.
And are you willing to be a participant to help the veterans out just coming back from war and serving our country?
Okay, I'm going to repeat the question. Do I know about the Veterans Court, and am I willing to participate as a judge in the Veterans Court? Yes, I am aware of the Veterans Court. Yes, I am willing to participate, and I am eager to participate. Why? Because in my role as a defense attorney, I work with a lot of veterans, and I understand that what they've experienced as a member of the military and troops on the ground or boots on the ground affects them in their daily lives. And maybe, and that's the compassionate part, that's the part where we have to fashion a sentence that's a little different for them, that provides them with the support and network that they need as a former military. And yes, I do support the Veterans Court. My husband is a United States Marine, former Marine, hoorah. And so, yes, I support the military. My grandfather was in the military. Yes, they are a very integral part of our country, and they deserve to be treated with the dignity and respect that they've earned. Next question.
Noah, what do you think would be the most rewarding part about being a circuit court judge when you are elected?
So what is the next question is what would be the most rewarding, what is it?
Rewarding part of being a circuit court judge.
Rewarding part of being a circuit court judge. Well, the most rewarding part, I believe, would be to help and service and work with the entire Oakland County. Right now, I am assisting and working in Hazel Park as the magistrate and working as a defense attorney throughout the county, but my interaction with people is very limited. As a circuit court judge and as your next circuit court judge, I would be able to help the county or residents of the county on a larger scale. That would be important. That's important to me, that the residents in Oakland County are their rights are protected and that they are seen as people. Again, people, not a case and not a number. So yes, it would be my pleasure and my honor to be the next Oakland County Circuit Court Judge. I think we have time for one more question.
Question is, hold on one second. You indicated that you're an advocate for mental health. What resources in our county will be helpful to those with mental health needs?
Okay. The question is, am I an advocate for mental health? Yes, I am. And what resources? Well, first, let's start with if a person is experiencing mental health issues, it's important if it's if they need immediate help, that they reach out to, they call 911 or they go to the emergency room to get immediate help. Also recognize that there are different programs out there. There's 1-800-SUICIDE number that is able to provide services for them. There's also community mental health. There's Common Grounds. There are resources out there for people who need mental health. And there's no shame, or there should not be a negative stigma associated with it. Mental health is something that I've dealt with in my personal life and with a family member. And it's also something that I deal with on a daily basis as a defense attorney and as a magistrate. I deal with people who are before me. Also, given what's going on in these uncertain times with the COVID-19, there is help where people are feeling stressed and anxiety from being restricted to their homes and the social distancing. There is also telephonic help. So if you can't get out to get to your medical provider or a medical provider, and you don't want to call 911, you don't want to go to the emergency, you don't need suicide prevention. It's my understanding now, with everything that's going on with COVID-19, that you can now receive services via telephone. So again, don't suffer in silence. Reach out for help. Again, we understand these are uncertain times. There's a lot of stress with the kids being home and not knowing what's going to happen with the next school year, if they're going to go back to school next month or if school's going to be out for the summer. My heart goes out to the graduates, the high school graduates 2020. They don't know if they're going to have an opportunity to have an actual graduation. And my heart goes out to them because this is the same group of kids. They were born actually during 9/11. So it's important that we recognize that they may need some help mentally and emotionally. And sometimes they're teenagers. They're not going to want to always reach out or go talk to a therapist sitting in the office. That we use the telephonic services that are available. I think that brings us to the end of our time. Thank you so much. Please be safe, stay healthy at NadineHatten.com. Add me to your social media and have a wonderful night. Thank you.